One of the things I want to do is build a more stable, modern foundation for the cabin when we move it. So I've got to figure out exactly what to put under the logs and the beams that are supporting the log cabin. Today, as you've seen from the videos, it's just resting on literally a pile of rocks. So what I'm looking to do is pour at least some basic footings. I'm no engineer, but that seems like the most cost-effective, straightforward way to build a basic foundation. And to do that, I'm just going to do some concrete in the ground with a little bit of rebar to hold it steady, and then strengthen the concrete, and then put some cinder blocks on top of that. So what it's going to be is a system of piers. And as you can see here, I'm looking at probably 3 rows of 3 piers of cinder blocks. And I need to figure out, based on the logs today, where those piers need to be. And so what I did is some measurements. So it's, I don't know if you can see this, but like looking here, the back log along the back, so if you think of the square, this is a log cabin here, and the back log is 250 inches long, and the front log is 239 inches long. So this thing is not square. So I'm trying to figure out the right place to put the corners. And I also measured from where, even though this is a longer log, there's actually, it kind of extends out here a little further beyond the cabin. So it's longer than it needs to be. So what I really wanted to find out was where the intersection of the walls are going to be, and find out where most of the weight is going to rest. So I figured from where the outside log overlaps the base log is roughly 241 inches to the outside of this log, and then it's 227 inches to the inside of the log. So if you take the average of that, that's 234 inches. So basically from the outside of this log to the inside of the log, looks like most of the weight is going to be right at 234 inches. Now this is a super heavy beam. Again, it's basically almost 10 inches by 10 inches square, and it's extremely solid. So it's going to hold everything. And then down here we've got, again, the overall log is 239 inches, the beam. And then measuring to the outside of the overlap here, it's 236 inches. Excuse me. And then 225 inches to the inside. So again, we've got differing measurements, but if you go from center point to center point here, we've got 234 inches here and 230 inches here. So it's only off about 4 inches. So that's not too bad. I think what I'm going to do is try and build it square. So build the foundation to this higher value. And then if we can end up lengthening this a little bit for whatever reason, if we end up using new logs or something, I may be able to square that up. And then similar type thing here along the sides. This first log that lays across here is 195 inches. Over here, it's almost 10 inches shorter. It's about 185, but I'm going to build it square because I think we're going to be replacing most of the logs on this side because they were in really bad shape. This is where the chimney is. So, and the 2 windows actually. So these logs are in really bad shape. So I'm going to build it square. And so we've got 195 to the outside of the log and about 176 inches to the inside of the log. And then this is a 9-inch beam, basically, almost 10-inch beam. So the center point here is 185. So I figured that's where, most of the weight will be. And then I want to recess the center block just a little bit so that they're not sticking out beyond the logs. So this is what I've ended up with. Again, if I take kind of this center point, this is 234 inches here. Center point to center point. I'm actually going to recess this because otherwise I'll have this 8-inch. This is an 8 by 16-inch block, so it's 8 inches wide and 16 inches long. So I want actually the block to be right at the end of the center point. So I think I'm going to do this at 234 inches, and then this one I'm going to do at 193 inches because that's kind of rounding off from this standpoint of I just want the edge of the block here, and then that way we'll recess this about, if it's 195 inches, it'll be about 2 inches inside. So hopefully that's going to work. And then if my high school math from Miss Cofield is still correct, if we do 234 by 193, you do your high school math where the square of the hypotenuse of a right triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the two adjacent sides. So if we get the sum of the squares, 234 and 193, square those, and then get the square root, that gives us 303 inches. So that should be the diagonal basically between those, and we'll use that as a check to make sure that our outside numbers are correct. In order to be able to bring the cabin materials in and build on a site that I've been wanting to build a cabin on for a long time, we had to build a road back into the land because there wasn't an existing road. So this is what we did a couple of months ago. We hired a guy with a bulldozer and a backhoe to come in here and carve out a little bit of a road so that it was wide enough to bring the trailer and some trucks in. And as you can see, coming in off the main road, we'll start up at the top of this hill here, and you can see there's a deer stand up there. My cousin does some hunting on this land from time to time, and if you come down this little hill, he did some carve outs where the drainage should go to either side so it won't wash out the road, and then laid some gravel because it's a little bit of a hill here. Didn't want to get stuck. And if you come down here, we had to install a culvert here. We put in a 36-inch culvert because there is some water runoff that comes into this ditch. It's never a lot of water, but we've got this culvert laid, and he built up a nice little road on top of the culvert on each side of the culvert. So that looks to be draining pretty nicely. May have a little bit of erosion control. I've put some ryegrass out here to help a little bit with some of the runoff so that it doesn't erode too badly. And then if you go up here, we go to the other side of the drainage area, and I'll take you up there in a second. Now I'm back up on top of the hill across from the little culvert that we put in, so you can see the nice job they did of building the road and putting some gravel in that culvert in. And then as we circulate through here and you come around, you can see there was a nice little cut through area between the planted pine trees. You can see a pine tree on the left and a row on the right. And there was already a nice little alley through here, and they just cleared that up for us a little bit. And you can see up ahead, I've got the pickup truck up there. So hopefully over time we can sort of firm up this road a little bit to help us out in the future, but looks to be a good cut through so far. Again, looking back, you can see the road that comes up from the culvert, and again, that's a nice lane there with the trees. Another good thing there was we didn't have to cut any trees down, so this area was already open enough, and I'm excited that we didn't have to take out any trees. And if we're back up here to where the truck is, this is where the cabin site's gonna be. So they did a pretty good job of, leveling off this little hill, which is a hill I've camped on several times, and this was really overgrown. You can sort of see what it looked like before. That's what it looked like. And so he leveled this out a little bit for us, and you can see some of the materials we've already brought from the first couple of days of taking the cabin down. So those are some of the floor beams and the pole, the support poles in the ceiling, and those are some of the leftover shingles and some of the tin over there. And here's where I've laid out the grid for where the cabin foundation is going to be, and we'll start working on that today. There's some of the lumber and the concrete that I've brought in, and you can't really see it very well because it is very grown up, but you can see a little bit of shimmer of the pond down there. So hopefully one day this will be sitting out on the porch, and if we clear some of that out, you'll have a nice little view of the pond one day.